Welcome to Open Campus Soft Skills course, Module 8, Corporate Culture. In this module, you will learn about the unwritten corporate rules, about conducting productive meetings, and about teamwork and collaboration. Well, what is corporate culture? Corporate culture is the shared values, attitudes, standards, and beliefs that characterize members of an organization. For the purpose of this module, we will focus on the areas of unwritten rules, productive meetings, teamwork, and collaboration. There are 3 types of organizational structure. These main types are functional structure, divisional structure, and matrix structure. When we look at our functional structure, we're looking at a hierarchy or a classificational organizational structure, which is based on your function or purpose. When we look at a divisional structure, we're looking at more of an umbrella type organizational structure that's classified by division, department, or location. And then there's the matrix organizational structure, which is actually a combination of both functional and divisional organizational structure models. I will say it's important to know what type of organizational structure you're working in, because that will help to kind of guide your movement through the office environment. And it will also provide for you the chain of command, as in who you're directly responsible to as far as your immediate supervisor, and then kind of knowing who are the actual higher ups in the top management positions, more of the executive and corporate headquarters, all the way down to the different departments and responsibilities. So knowing your organizational structure is key. Now let's take a look at each of the individual organizational structures. First, let's look at our functional organizational structure. This is an example of a nonprofit organizational structure where we have the chairman of the board as the head, and then keep in mind it's a hierarchy that goes from one person down to the next, or one department down. So then from the chairman you have your executive officers, and then from your executive officers there's a branch of equal responsibility or power, for lack of a better word, that you will have the board of directors as well as your advisory board. And then from there, out of those 2 areas, we then have the committee structures where each of those groups, both of them, can be involved in one of the different types of committees. When we look at the divisional organizational structure, this is a model, a basic model of a for-profit organization where you have your CEO and then the division's products that each report back to the CEO. But if you notice, everything is departmentalized. Division A, B, C, and D, they all have under the next tier functions that are marketing, operations, and finance. So each division provides the same functions, but for a specific product. Now, when we look at our matrix organizational structure, this is also a for-profit diagram. You'll notice that there's still the president, but then from the president, there are managers. You have a marketing manager, a sales manager, and a finance manager. And then under each of those particular management areas, you then have a team member that will work with a project team leader. So this is how it's a combination of a hierarchy as well as departmental. So if we're coming down the chart, you have your marketing manager, your marketing team A, and then if you look to the immediate left, you'll see project A team leader. And if we go straight across horizontally, we'll see that there is a representative from marketing as well as sales as well as finance that make up Project A's team. If you look down with Project B team, there's still a representative for marketing from sales, from finance. So there is kind of engagement across the different categories when we're looking at the matrix organizational structure. Now, let's talk about office politics. When we are talking about our organizational structure and we're working with different individuals, there are times that office politics can come into play. And if you are aware of office politics or how to be able to maneuver them and how to make it more of an asset instead of something that is a negative, you can take a situation that may be a part of office politics and try to work and make it work for your advantage. So let's look at the different definitions, the definition of office politics. It's the use of one's individual or assigned power and social networking within the workplace to gain advantages or to achieve changes that may benefit the organization or individuals. Sometimes with office politics, people can try to take their assumed power or perceived power to get an advantage or a step up from other people. But when you're able to know how to maneuver through office politics, then you won't get caught up in the drama that can oftentimes take place within an organization. Here are some areas that you can work toward looking at office politics in a win-win situation. You can take advantage by focusing on the goals of the business or organization, observe the unspoken rules of the organization, avoid gossip and backbiting, engage in fact-finding missions, observe the behaviors of respected employees, always rise above conflict, use your influence, not just power, when dealing with individuals within the office. And always listen carefully to what's being said and be sure to build the right relationships. As I mentioned earlier, office politics often is perceived as being something negative, but these are tips or ways that you can look at office politics and find ways to maneuver through the negativity to find a win-win, to find something positive, or to find a solution that will be not just for one particular person's betterment, but also for the organization. Now, when we're talking about productive meetings, there is always a few pointers that you want to focus on when attending a meeting. And let's look at these in detail. When attending a meeting, a way for it to be productive, and when we talk about productivity or being productive in a meeting, we're talking about having an effective meeting. But you can help by showing up on time, being prepared, focus on listening and understanding. Don't speak just to be heard. Don't multitask. Stay on task when you're in a meeting. That means avoid being on social media, avoid texting, avoid any type of distraction. Stay focused on the task at hand. And also do what you say you will do. If you commit to a particular responsibility as a part of a takeaway for a meeting, make certain that you do it. And finally, follow up on action steps. So not only commit to taking on a task, but also provide timely follow-up after the meeting to let people know your progress. Now, when you are leading a meeting, here are a few more pointers to always remember, and let's take a look at them in detail. When you're leading a meeting, always start your meeting on time, even if people are absent. This is a way for you to show respect for those who are on time. Use an agenda. The agenda will help you to manage the flow of the meeting. Distribute the agenda prior to the meeting. This gives people an opportunity to know what to expect during your time together. Always assign a note taker. If you're a committee, generally there's a secretary that's appointed. But if not, always ask for someone to take on that responsibility. Keep it short. Keep your meetings between 30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes most meetings are generally accepted to be an hour, and it helps if you keep a timekeeper, assign a timekeeper to stay on track. Stay on topic and follow your agenda. Remember, your agenda helps to guide the flow of your meeting. Don't multitask. Focus on the task at hand. That's a note from when you're attending a meeting as well. And let's go back up to listen to what is being said. As the person that's leading a meeting, it's important that you're listening to everyone's input and how to connect the dots if needed so that you can have more productivity in your meeting. Be prepared. As the leader, be prepared and encourage others to do so. Clarify and follow up on action items. When you're leading a meeting, you need to clarify the particular tasks that have been assigned, and then be sure to follow up on your end as well to kind of check on the progress of the people that are involved with the project. Cancel a meeting if you aren't prepared. Don't just hold a meeting for the sake of holding it, knowing that you do not have all of your ducks in a row. It's best to always cancel a meeting and reschedule when you are better prepared than to hold a meeting and you're leading and you're not prepared. And always end the meeting on time, if not early. Now, the final part, we're going to look at teamwork and collaboration. Now, when we're talking about teamwork, we're looking at being able to work together, sharing your ideas, being effectively able to communicate, being responsible and accountable as a group, and to be respectful of others' differences. When we're looking at collaboration, we're able to communicate our expectations with others, to set goals, to foster creativity, to get to know each other, and to focus on strengths of the team. One of the things for you to remember when you're dealing with corporate culture is to always find a way to be able to be a team player and to collaborate with others in the office. This concludes Module 8, Corporate Culture. We'll now have our quiz for this module.